Warning, this video contains high doses of sarcasm. If I offend you, you don't have to watch it, nor should this be taken as fact. Alright, this is gonna be great. Dear Doctor, I hope this letter finds you effing well. I am in need of a therapeutic. Dang it. We all know I need therapy, but how the spell therapeutic? You know what? He'll know what I mean. TUE, therapeutic youth exemption. Reason. What's a good reason? For my mental health. It's 2022. They can't say no to that. More reason. Let's just burn it in. I am really, some emojis, fucking slow, and with your help, want to go faster. Yeah, that's, what do I need? I need a cocktail of anabolics and peptides like EPO, testosterone, HGH, clenbuterol. That stuff's great. And maybe some Adderall would be great as well. It's for a really effing good cause, I promise. I hope you will find it in your heart to do the right thing. Merry effing Christmas. Sincerely, Johnny Hopper. Yeah! Hold on, gotta get ready for this video. Oh, shit! My eyes! Oh! Suzuki! Collie dealership! I need a tune-up on my eyes! Okay, it's expired, it's good. It's doctor's note. Now that I hit you with 90-foot triple of comedic relief and sarcasm, what are inhalers used for in sports performance? Most of the time, it is albuterol that is prescribed by doctors because of people have athletic-induced asthma. But real-world performance athletes use clenbuterol, and clenbuterol was used by doctors for farm animals to help make them build muscle, and therefore if you had a bigger animal, you could sell your fleet for more. And they also use drugs like trenbolone, which is a synthetic version of testosterone, but Anyway, clenbuterol, athletes use it for the ability to burn fat, build muscle, and improve sports performance. The drug is believed to increase skeletal muscle development by enhancing muscle protein synthesis. At the same time, it aids in fat loss by increasing resting energy expenditure for fat oxidation. Definitely helps you there. And if you guys didn't know that cigarette smoking actually has been shown to increase serum hemoglobin and hematocrit levels. Hematocrit levels is the amount of red blood cells in your body at one particular time. You know, this is why EPO is a banned substance, because it's an anemia medication to help boost your red blood cells. And how people get caught is if they have like over a 60 or so, they think that they're doing something, because no normal body should have that much red blood cells at one particular time. But little did you know that cigarette smoking is almost like altitude training, where it helps in a short term to expand the lungs and, definitely give you more red blood cells, which is a performance enhancing. And it actually says here, it increases lung volume and it stimulates weight loss characteristics for enhancing performance in endurance sports. Incredibly interesting. And the video is designed for the whole Roczen situation of what's going on. So Roczen is clean as a whistle, right? The people that I've talked to with FIM, they all say he took the test, and if he's got a TUE for the drugs that he's particularly taken, he's all good. He hasn't broken any laws. It's a situation where it's, hate the game, not the player. If there's any loopholes out there, there's no proof whatsoever that somebody is in fact taking it. So we have to give Roczen and his team the benefit of the doubt because no rules were broken. But I will say that this kind of situation is a little bit laughable because truthfully, my particular view on performance-enhancing drugs is the technology's not up to date to catch a small sport like this. If you had a shit ton of money, you could catch everybody under the sun, but nobody's going to throw that much money at drug testing to get some of these riders out if in fact they were doing something illegal. I am also on the side of it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, right? And the rider's going to do what the rider's going to do. If they can get away with something, hell yeah, we would too. I mean, we live in a world where morals are not prevalent in today's society, really, because it's about who you can step on to get ahead. It's just, it's been proven time and time again from the wealthy that sometimes you have to cross a certain line to get somewhere. I'm not saying that is for everything. I'm just putting things in I'm generalizing per se. So with that being said, let's read what Roczen's agent said. And it's silly, some of this stuff. And I will comment a little bit about what's going on. Because if you guys haven't seen some of my videos, I knew that there was some issues with WADA over at the last Australian Supercross and that certain riders were not wanting to take a test because they were worried about a ban or da-da-da-da. And if Roczen was taking some supplements, then yeah, he was worried about the situation. And obviously there's teams involved that would have liked to see potentially something happening because if you take out the number one guy, everybody moves up a placement, right? It's just simple. Nobody likes to win that way or whatever, but it's just fact, right? It's about the long game. There's been time and time again where riders, you look at Osborne with the asterisk with his motocross championship, everyone got hurt, blah, 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 but you can't take away from him that he was the dude that lasted the longest and made it happen. You could say that about Dungey with some of his stuff, or him not winning as many races as some other riders, but he was always up front. You don't have to be the fastest guy to be the most opportunistic. Look at Cooper Webb. Was he ever the fastest guy in Supercross? But no. But he won a championship. Abso-effing-lutely, he won a championship. So all this is kind of taken with a grain of salt. Truthfully, when it comes to the technology of drug testing, of, informing somebody, then taking the samples, then taking them back to the lab, and then, having to spend the money to run those blood tests through several different tests, because there's not just one test that's going to chip off everything, then going back to a sanctioning body, then enforcing a rule, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of stuff that happens until we can have it like as an airport. You push your bike through like a giant metal detector and it goes, do, rider has EPO, do, rider has EPO. You're not going to catch people, right? And will that eventually happen someday? Who effing knows? With technology as it is now, man, there's no telling where things could be. So without further digression, let's just look at this. And Roczen's agent says that there are performance supplements that you use when the athlete is out of competition. Why would you be using performance supplements out of competition? Well, I mean, you need to recover faster. Most of the riders are driven hard and put away wet, meaning that how can they withstand 10 months out of the year of just sheer banging? Most guys have some sort of an injury nagging them like 2 weeks into training. It's crazy. And he says right here, so much strain on the body, your adrenal glands, your cortisol levels, right? Are there anabolics and peptides out there that help with all this stuff? back to normal. There's lots of stuff that's legal, or IV stuff that you did during competition. It could be considered or is performance enhancing. Yeah, IV is definitely illegal because it helps you recover incredibly fast, right? That's the same thing with HGH, testosterone. Your body will literally go through a cycle of, normally when you work out, I know this from experience, you work out, you really don't feel sore until 24 to 48 hours. Around the 48-hour mark, that's when your body is the sorest. But when you take these kind of drugs, it happens all inside like a 12-hour period where you go sore and you could go do a TUE a day and feel completely that's how you get ahead, is because the amount of work you can put through because your body recovers so much. Again, when you're putting that much abnormal pressure on your body by having it go through a speed cycle, you could see where it's detrimental to your longevity when it comes to your health. But as a performance athlete, these guys have an addictive mindset where they would give their soul to be the top dog at some point. I mean, I think there was a research done where it was literally 8 out of 10 athletes would be willing to die in 5 years if they knew they were going to be the number one in their sport. It's crazy. Just look in the mirror if you're an athlete too. What would you give in order to be somebody like a Roczen, right? Or an Eli Tomac? Most of us would probably give a lot. I was in that realm before I had a child where I was willing to do whatever, right? And that's where I get the whole philosophy of it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, especially if you're not going to get caught or get a slap on the wrist. Because a lot of this stuff, we have this therapeutic youth exemption, from FIM, where it says you need a TUE for all treatments involving the use of forbidden substances, under the methods and blah, blah, blah. And what are all those substances? Testosterone, clenbuterol, EPO, growth factors like insulin, So if you have a doctor's note with all that stuff, you could potentially get through with it. Like, why is it that we've got TRT clinics nowadays where you can get certain stuff like this? Like, a testosterone replacement therapy clinic will give you probably 30, I believe, I want to say maybe cc's or something. Very, very, very small doses a week for you to get your mojo back, right? And I know when I was taking that stuff, I was prescribed 350 a week. So you're talking 10 times the doses of what a clinic will give you. And that's why I had all sorts of different supplements on top of that in order to keep things going correctly, and then you've got other substances that are like twice as strong as normal. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but the overview is, from where I'm getting it, is you get a TUE, boom, you're pretty much okay with this. How would somebody get a TUE? Well, you'd have to probably be some sort of an insider. It's not going to be easy for somebody to use these loopholes, just like in big business. Not a small business owner is going to have the punching power as a big bank, right? That's just how the world works, right? It's not fair. So if I'm going back to this, Roczen's agent says that there is no FIM meeting and no explanation that FIM is involved when it comes to the World Supercross. Well, I'm interesting about that, because if you look at their website, World Supercross, what is the first thing that shows up on his FIM, right? And there's an FIM logo right there. I find it hard to believe that guys didn't know that FIM was going to be the sanctioning body. And, again, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. But I do have to say yet again that Kenny has been proven to do nothing wrong. Right? I do think it's kind of abnormal that we're seeing not the typical Kenny race. He's riding really fast and long and going fast for a long period of time. He's not burning out. But there's a lot of factors that could go with that. It could just simply be that he's trying harder and he's not phoning it in. He could have been phoning it in the rest of the time. So there's all those things that you could say about Kenny. That this isn't about trying to have any sort of defamation whatsoever, because let's just say hypothetically guys do stuff. We know that a privateer like me started dabbling in this stuff, but let's say bigger guys started doing stuff. Well, where there's one, there usually leads to more, just statistically. If some guy shows up with a big bore, there's probably other guys that have a big bore, right? You're using race gas, they're using race gas. They have these, special cut tires, you might have these special cut tires. It's kind of a thing, right? Tit for tat. That's, again, sort of how the world works. And he goes on to say that, hey, they showed him a bottle and it didn't even have any labels on it. Well, that's kind of interesting that, you're showing WADA, okay, here's the drugs that he's taking, but there's no labels on the drugs. And then they get the doctor involved to be like, hey, can you tell them what this is and let them know that it is okay? And boom, 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 it all works out, right? It sounds silly. This whole story sounds silly, and it's going to die out as fast as it popped up because, again, nothing went wrong. I showed you in a other video as far as the rules books were if somebody was to break one of these deals, they get disqualified, right, and potentially the ban. And did that happen with Kenny? No, absolutely not. So if I was Kenny, you just continue to let your agent and other people speak on your behalf. You don't go out and say anything. You don't open up a can of worms that doesn't need to be even opened, right? That's just kind of how it is. And I know Whiskey Throttle sort of opened this back up because I did talk to the race director and asked him, hey, did Roczen take a test? And he told me, yeah, he took a test and it's all good. They all passed, and I have to use that as fact, right? If I dig any deeper, I can't get anything else out of these guys, the teams, whatever. They're not going to tell me all the details, right? Because just plain and simple. Dun, dun, dun. And he goes on to say these doctors aren't prescribing anything illegal. They don't want to go to jail. Yeah, that's true, but we've had countless cases of other sports, riders doing the same stuff and, just for instance, like the doctor that I got my stuff from, right? He was using an alias and all sorts of stuff, okay? Dun, dun, dun. But riders taking HGH would be stupid. HGH would be the last thing someone like Ken Roczen should take. What does whatever, HGH do for a motocross rider? They need endurance, not strength. But what he's kind of contradicting himself up here because he says there's so much strain on your body, right? If you had more strength, you'd have less strain on your body. And the bigger your muscles are, the easier it is to recover. So I find all this stuff just kind of contradicting. And I'll put this article in there. And, Roczen has a TUE for an asthma inhaler. They don't say what that is, if that's albuterol, if that's clenbuterol, like whatever that is. You're never going to be able to find that information out there. But overall, I think that, hey, if drugs, we want to see faster, stronger, and bigger. As fans, you want to see guys that jump 5 jumps, not just a quad, but you want to see guys go quad, just in a rhythm lane just once. Just jump 6 effing obstacles and then you're out. Just go through the whoops, miss the first 50, and you're out. We want to see these guys go so fast, and that's the whole deal with baseball, NFL, blah, 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 especially when it comes to, like running and some other Olympic sports. It's again, contradictive that you want to see bigger, faster, stronger, yet people get in trouble for this drug stuff. I do kind of think that they should not be so banned because you put so much pressure on these guys. It helps keep them safe if they're strong and they've recovered fast because they're pushing them so hard. I do think that the series needs to be a lot shorter so that these guys can recover, especially naturally. And I also feel that, like, if it is just legal at some point, then the people that can afford a $2,500 to $10,000 a month, supplement bill is not going to be the privateers. The playing field is going to become even a exponential gap. So there's a lot to be said there, and I will leave it to you guys, the viewers, to debate in the comments below. I'll jump in, but let's talk about it, because this is something that we should definitely talk about. And it's a decent story, so it's something that we should talk about. And I like that Racer X is saying stuff. They literally say that the alphabet soup of different racing series, which gives me the heebie-jeebies that FIM doesn't work well with here in America, because they dropped, right? And part of the reason why FIM got dropped, from what I understand, is because of the whole Super Motocross series. But this is Johnny F. and Hopper. Till next time, keep it tuned to MX Unfiltered.